Hi, welcome to another session of Path of the Just, Mesilat Yesharim, where we learn life skills to make us better people. That's our model. What's the goal in life, Mashiach, according to the Ramchal?
That's to attain as much pleasure as possible.
Excellent. To attain as much pleasure as possible. Yuda, what would be the fastest way to attain pleasure? The best way to attain pleasure in this world. Go to LA, right? 20-year-old blondes. So the Ramchal says the ultimate pleasure that we can seek is a connection to God. That is the greatest pleasure that we can have. The challenge for all of us is that we don't see it that way. Why? Because the body, the Yetzer tells us that we can express, we can experience pleasure through the body, right? Well, the body pays you, if you experience pleasure, the body pays in cash. Pleasure that has to do with spirituality, you don't get paid in cash. You get a postponed check. When does that come in? Olam haba. That's the big difference. So Mashiach is absolutely right. The goal of the Ramchal is that we should seek to have as much pleasure as possible. But you should have the greatest pleasure. The greatest pleasure is your connection to God. And the connection to Hashem is proportional to our moral perfection. The more we've completed or perfected our morality and our behavior, the greater amount of pleasure that we feel when we connect to God. That's the basic perspective of Mesilat Yesharim. So the first moral perfection that you have to start working on, he calls midat zehirut, the carefulness, which means that you are going to pay very close attention before you act. So that before you say something, you'll actually think, what if I say this, what will be the implications? If I do this, what will happen? And in that sense, you will not come to break Jewish law. Okay? So that is the beginning, is that you are going to evaluate what you do and how you do it, and you will sort of control yourself so that you won't do the things that you're not allowed to do. Then comes midat zrizut, which is sort of quickness, alacrity, right? That you don't get, it's the opposite of procrastination. That when you have a thought of performing a mitzvah, you get up and do it. You don't sort of kill the spirit to do good. So the first part is to cease doing bad, then you start doing good. Then you begin working on the desires themselves. Midat nikayon, nikiyut. Nikiyut is cleanliness in the sense that you are removing the desires to sin. Right now you might have a desire to sin, but as you work and get higher and higher and higher, you should get to a level that you don't desire to sin anymore. Okay? Do you hear that? I already brought you to this level. I can prove it to you. In the realm of sexual relations, you don't desire to have relations anymore. I'll give you an example. Are you attracted to grandma?
No.
Well, see, cured. There are some things that we all have, there's no desire whatsoever. Because we know that that is not, but if you think about it, what's wrong with it? But the idea is there are aspects of our desires that we have full control of. So I always give the example, if a cop pulls you over, you're going to be super nice to him. Yes, officer. No, officer. What seems to be the problem, officer? You're not going to tell the guy off, are you? Why not?
Just find me, give me another ticket for something else.
Correct. So you have the ability to control your emotions. You have an ability to work on the three worst moral negative traits, which are haughtiness, anger, and jealousy. I wish that all of us would be aware of where we're holding with this negative moral character, so that we know what we actually need to fix.
I'm trying, but it's difficult. Sometimes the haughtiness comes to the center. But knowing those guys, I wasn't secular. I'm much more humble, but I'm not perfect.
Listen, I think an aspect of humility is something that comes with age also. The more experience you have, the less cocky you are. So guys, who are young are very cocky. They're like, oh. After midat hanikiyut, after we are able to remove our negative or our desires to sin and those three negative moral qualities, we enter a new realm. So midat prishut. Prishut is where we try to limit ourselves from areas that we know we have a problem. So let's say I know that I have a problem when I go to the beach, because I go to the wrong beaches. So I will create a boundary around that. So yes, the Torah allows me to go to the beach, but it has to be a men-only beach, right? Because if you go to a mixed beach, there are other people who are not so dressed so appropriately, right? So we have to protect ourselves from that. So you say, well, I have a problem when I ever go to the beach. The car just stops and I just roll off and I don't know what beach I am. So then you can't go to the beach because you can't seem to control yourself. The Ramchal tells us that there are several areas where you have to control with regard to arayas, which is women. Your eyes, your ears, your touch, and your thoughts. If you sit in the train, it's probably more correct, as opposed to on the train. It's a little tricky with the electrical lines. You're sitting in the trains and comes a woman dressed as modest as ever, with a baby carriage with her baby, and she takes her Ravkav and puts it against the thing, and you're looking at her hand, and you say, wow, what a beautiful hand. You're over. When you look at a woman's finger and then are enjoying her, you are stealing. That's not allowed. She's not yours. The only woman that you're allowed to enjoy in that way, and you're not doing anything. You're not touching her. You're not talking to her. You're just looking in a way that you are receiving pleasure. You're not looking at her intimate parts. You're looking at her hand.
So what it boils down to is you can't derive pleasure from looking at a female, basically. That's what...
You should not unless she's your wife. Right. Then derive as much pleasure as you want.
That's where the problem comes from. Luckily, it's deriving pleasure.
Beautiful. So, putting boundaries. Now we enter the realm of chassidut. The realm of piety is a very deep idea that seems to be very, very simple. But this is one of the longest, if not the longest chapter in Mesilat Yesharim. Okay? So he says that the shoresh, the root of Chassidut, if you really want to understand it, is Ashrei Adam she'amalo b'Torah, v'oseh nachat ruach leyotzro. Happy is a man who toils in Torah and performs or does nachat ruach, pleasing spirit to his Creator. What does that mean? It means that because this person loves the Kadosh Baruch Hu so much, that when he comes to perform a mitzvah, he's not doing it to get it over with. He looks for opportunities to fulfill God's will every chance he gets. Because he loves Hashem that much. And he gives the example of a husband and a wife, a son and a father, or two friends that, right, if you knew your wife liked a certain thing, you would do it because she likes it. And you're going to go over and beyond what she likes because you are trying to make her happy. You're trying to create a good feeling in her. And you're going to go beyond the duty. It's like if she tells you, I love having flowers for Shabbos.
Probably gonna go get a flower.
So you're going to get, but there's one way I bet the flower. Here's your flowers. Think she's going to like it?
No.
Right? If Hashem says, I want you to put on your tefillin, you're like, you want me to put on tefillin? Fine. Did you do the tefillin?
I haven't done it yet today.
You did tefillin. No, that's doing tefillin. That's like bringing the flowers and throwing it in her face. You want flowers? Here you go. Try that.
I won't be married for long.
I think what would happen, you might be married for long, but I think when you wake up, you won't recognize the environment in which you're in. There will be a few lumps, you know, and some fluorescent light, and a guy going, "Are you okay? I think he's back." You know, I think that's what you're going to find, right?
Yeah.
The idea is when you perform a mitzvah to do it in the way that you show to Hashem that you care. That you're doing it because you love Him. You're doing it not to get rid of it, not because it's an obligation, but because you want to create nachat ruach to Hashem. We will continue on Tuesday. Bezrat Hashem.